Good evening, everyone. Welcome to budget session number 1, fiscal year 23, City Council, City of Binghamton. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk will call the roll.
Councilman Scaringi,
Present.
Councilwoman Resnetti,
Present.
Councilwoman Riley, Councilwoman Friedman,
Present.
Councilman Burns,
Present.
Councilman Scanlon is absent, and President Strawn.
Present.
That's 6 here, 1 absent, Scanlon.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Let's jump right in. I will at this time open pages 61 through 65. Fire Chief, good evening. How are you, sir? Please.
Corp Counsel give you a little review of the process here.
Sure.
Councilman, I will, actually, Mr. Chuck, I actually had a conversation with both the chair and the chair running the meeting. They both opted, said that it's the 3rd year they've all been through the process and they're comfortable just going into it. And if I need to, I'll speak up and interject.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you, Council. Chief, the floor is yours.
Okay, good evening. I'm Al Gardner, Chief of the City of Binghamton Fire Department. And so it's my pleasure here to be here tonight to present the proposed 2023 City of Binghamton Fire Department budget. Now, this budget encompasses both recurring operational expenses and capital improvements. The operational budget totaling $11,129,636.78 includes personnel services, utilities, apparatus and vehicle fuel, janitorial supplies, contractual services, and many other items. The capital budget totaling $390,000 includes projected purchases of new staff vehicles, 5 of them, and a heavy-duty vehicle lift system for our fleet maintenance division. Thank you all for being here tonight. I'll be happy to answer your questions to the best of my ability.
Thank you, Chief. At this time, colleagues, we have pages 61 through 65. Any questions for the chief? Any question? Councilwoman Freeman.
Thank you, Chair Scringi. Sorry, I don't.
Titles.
Councilman Scringi.
Yeah, it's-
Hi, Chief. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. So I'll say it once, thank you so much for working hard, I'm sure, to present us with this budget. So if I'm remembering correctly, all of the budget lines that end with F0015 are ARPA funding. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so I am curious, the penultimate line on page 61, that says holiday pay, and that appears to be from $8,000 from ARPA funding. Could you talk a little bit more about that?
The firefighters get holiday pay, and this is the holiday pay for 3 of those individuals that are getting paid through ARPA.
And so these 3 firefighters have other expenses that are also coming from ARPA, but from different, would
Correct.
that be on like personal services or something, that line?
It's,
For-
well, you
for
see it,
example?
you see it in the 51,000 F0015.
Right,
The holiday pay, and then there's an AL leave time, which we didn't budget anything for. I believe we did do Social Security. Yes, uniforms on page 63.
okay. All right, thank you.
And the F0015 at the end of the budget.
Just for communication purposes, the lines being referred to, ARPA lines, are budget lines that end in dot F as in Frank 0015. Any other questions? Seeing no other questions, I'll entertain a motion to accept pages 61 through 65.
I have a question. Nathan.
Go ahead, Councilman Burns.
Chuck, how does ARPA money get into these lines? I'm just wondering how that works, because I thought ARPA money had to be spent for certain things
Firefighters is an eligible use, so, okay.
throughout their whole budget.
Through 2025, I think.
But I'm saying that their entire budget, we can use ARPA wherever they have an expense. In the fire
Yes, in
department.
different categories, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other question? Seeing none, entertain a motion to accept pages 61 through 65.
I make a motion to accept pages 61 to 65 of the.
Motion by President Strawn, second by Councilman Burns. All's in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Thank you. That being said, I'll open page 219. Please be mindful of the fact that this is not for the entire page, but this is for the fire section of the capital improvement line. I'll open that at this time. Colleagues, any questions?
Just so everyone understands what we have here is there's $20,000. That's an auction line that you'll hear over and over again during the budget process. That's we sell some of the police and other parks lines through an auction. And then when they get that money back, we allow them to spend it on equipment. So in their case, we have a $20,000 estimate.
Yep.
If it came in at 40,000, they get 40,000. Came in at 15, they only get 15.
Right.
And the fire inspector vehicles is what the chief talked about. We're getting 5 vehicles and a garage lift to work on vehicles. So that the guy can lift up the trucks and get underneath them and fix them easier. And we're going to borrow that money to do that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Joe. Also want to acknowledge Chuck and Lori are here. Thank you both for being here. Colleagues, any other questions? Seeing none. Entertain a motion to accept the fire section on the capital improvements line on page 219.
I move that we accept the fire section on the capital page 219.
Second,
Second.
motion by Councilwoman Riley, seconded by President Strawn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Passes unanimously. Chief, thank you very much.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Chief.
Chair Scarinci,
Councilwoman
I
Riley,
do have a
please.
question.
Please.
As I've been going through this budget, I do notice, as Councilman Burns pointed out, the number of ARPA lines that have been included in the budget estimate. Do you have I know you don't have it with you here tonight, but do you have a total or a summary of how ARPA funds were distributed in this 23 budget? You don't,
Was distributed, I can get for you. I don't
Please.
know it off the top of my head.
no. I would like to see a sum total and the lines in which we will see this throughout the budget. I did highlight it and I don't want to go through it each time we come up, but perhaps we can just have that so we can look at the total amount of ARPA funds that have been rolled into this budget.
If you go on page 12 of the budget,
Mhm.
it may help you. The total amount that we budgeted is
Oh,
$542,760.
there it is.
And then you can see from which departments the money's coming from.
And this is it in entirety? Because I thought I saw,
There is some
Right.
additional capital,
right.
yes.
So I want the entire list, if you have it if possible.
Okay.
Because again, it's not just salary. There are uniforms, there are different things we see throughout this budget.
All of that is going to be here on page 12. What's not here is some of the
Capital,
capital.
thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Councilman Burns, please.
Yeah, Chuck, the ARPA funds that we see here, are these ARPA funds that we have already approved to be taking out of ARPA? Or are we now approving new ARPA funds to be taken out?
You can't approve something from another budget, but when we brought down the idea of the code enforcement, we said we were gonna do this over a 2 or 3 year program. I can't remember exactly what
Mhm.
the mayor said. So this is the second year of that. You budgeted for the first year. This is the second year of that program.
Okay, so the ARPA funds that are now left, which I don't have that number in the top of my head, we're not taking from that. These are ARPA funds that are already came to city council and city council approved.
Yes,
Okay, thank
but
you.
you're now budgeting for them. They had not.
We're not budgeting for that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that.
Anything else? Okay, that being said, let's move forward. At the time, I'll open pages 80 through 85. Parks and Rec. Mr. Pat McGinnis, good to see you, sir.
Hey, how is everyone?
Good to see you.
In case you haven't met, Shane is our assistant director. I
Hey,
brought
Shane,
him
how are you?
along to see this fun process.
Down tonight. Pat, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. So basically, if we want to start on page 80, we don't have any huge massive changes. This is our, general operations for parks, the maintenance side, pools, summer programming, senior center, and then some capital projects at the end.
Any questions on page 80 through 85? Second request, any questions on pages 80 through 85?
Council, and there's a error that we made in producing this budget. We left off a employee position that's already hired that
Okay.
we want to include in this budget.
Under,
It's a personnel. I'll give you the change order that we have to make.
Sure.
Okay, this is taking money from the contingency lines, pretty much eating them all up. And we should be able to fill some of that back over a period of time. If not, we'll come up with another solution at the end.
okay,
Okay, but
so,
this being the first night, it's awful tough to try to find where I can get this money from.
no, that's fine. So I can ask for an amendment for that to be put in.
This would be on page 82 under our maintenance. It's our small engine mechanic. It's just an oversight.
Thank you, Joe. Yes, ma'am.
The person is currently employed, if that was not picked up by.
Correct, yeah, just for transparency, the person is currently employed. Pat, can you give me one more time? What line? I know you had said 82.
It's page
Maintenance.
82, A7-110.51000. We just, all of it, we missed the small engine mechanic.
One more.
You need to move it to, no, two, you need to take it, move it to the contingency, then the second one will move to contingency.
Okay. All right. So just for information purposes, so here's what we're doing. We're decreasing $2,528 from Parks Temporary Services. A7110.51880. That's the line number. And we're increasing the contingency line ending in 55000 by the same amount. Additionally, we are taking $28,028, decreasing that in contingency, line 55000. We're decreasing $20,000 in contingency fuel and utilities, 550010, and we're increasing that amount, which would be a total of $48,028 to line A7110.51000 personal services.
You just have to do it in two motions.
motions,
The
yeah.
motion moving everything to contingency and then from contingency to the budget line.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion for everything that I've just been subscribed to be moved to contingency.
Shouldn't you move to contingency?
Motion by Councilwoman Rosanetti. Do I have a second? seconded by Councilman Burns. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any nays?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. I'll now entertain a motion to move the $48,028 and the $2,528 to the personnel services. Have a motion? Absolutely. Personal services line A7110.51000. Page 82,
Was 48, the amount of 48.
$48,028. Do I have a motion? And no, that's okay. So again, we're taking the. No, absolutely. So again, just logistically, we took the money. We just made a motion to take that and move it to contingency. And now we're taking that same dollar amount from contingency and moving it to the actual budget line. So that's again A7110.51000.
Make a motion to move from contingency to line A7110.51000.
Motion by Councilwoman Rosanetti. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Burns. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Any
Thank
other
you.
questions on pages 80 through 85? Seeing none, do I have a motion to move those pages forward?
Motion to move.
Motion by Councilwoman Rosanetti. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by President Strawn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any
Aye.
nays? Passes unanimously. At this time, I'll open pages 86, 87, and 88. Any questions on pages 86 through 88? For those watching at home, we're looking at the areas of playgrounds and rec centers, beaches and pools, and youth programs. 86 through 88. Any questions?
Councilman Scringy, on
Please.
page 86.
Yes, sir.
We do not know what's going to happen with minimum wage next year.
Correct.
Okay, but what we've done with the Parks Department is we put in the wages as they are today. They're okay with the number of 254,696. But the last line item that says increase hourly rates limits per minimum wage increase. If minimum wage increases, we will increase these rates, but not the total budget.
Correct.
We'll either use less hours or less people to get the.
To try to minimize that impact as
Yeah.
much as possible. Thank you, Chuck. Any questions? 86, pages 86 through 88. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to move pages 86 through 88 forward.
Should have closed pages 86 to 88.
Motion by Councilwoman Rosanetti. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by President Strawn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Passes unanimously. At this time, I will open pages 91, 92, 93, which covers adult recreation and the senior center. First. Any questions? 91, 92, 93. Any questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to move pages 91, 92, and 93 forward.
Motion to move pages 91, 92, 93.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Rosanetti, seconded by Councilman Burns. All those signify by saying aye. In
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Passes unanimously. At this time, I'll open pages 219 and 220, the capital improvement lines only for Parks and Recreation Department.
So in these lines, you'll see there are two new lines. Per the new leases we signed with the Discovery Center and the zoo at Ross Park. City provides $10,000 to each in capital funding for improvements. So you'll see those in there. And then at the bottom, you'll see a new line for parks, building and grounds improvements. This will be for items that necessarily don't come up every year, but are more big ticket, like replacing a fence at a ball field. Things like that, where we don't spend it all, it rolls over year to year, and that way we're reducing big hits. In each operating budget.
Thank you, Pat. Any question? Councilman Byrd?
Yeah, thank you. Is there any chance that the carousel at Ross Park, the moving of that up to, out of the flood zone?
That is already covered in a previously budgeted line.
Okay,
That project looks like it should be moving forward. Hopefully any day now.
Yeah.
I feel like I said that for several years, but it's
Okay.
looking like maybe before the snow flies, the horses will be off for restoration,
awesome.
and that will open up being able to get the structure moved.
Thank you. And the illumination for conservation, I took my family the other night. It's fabulous. I don't know if you guys had anything to do with that. I know it's the zoo, but it was great.
Yeah, that is all the zoo, but it really is a wonderful event. If anyone hasn't had a chance to go check it out.
Thank you both. Any other questions? Any other discussion? Parks and Recreation sections on page 219, 220. Again, only for the Parks and Recreation section. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to move those sections on pages 219 and 220 forward.
I move that we move sections related to park and capital improvements on page 219 and 220 forward.
Thank you. Second. Motion by Councilwoman Riley, seconded by Councilwoman Resonetti. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Passes unanimously. Now on to, I will open page 225, the city fee schedule. Are there any questions on page 225, the city fee schedule? Councilwoman Riley, please.
Thank you. So I see that we are removing the fee for sign sponsorship. Can you, that means,
Yes, so in the past, we've had the ability to sell advertising signs on the outfield fences at baseball and softball fields. Since we created the Binghamton Youth Sports Association, they've been running the concessions and decided to let them kind of handle the sign sponsorships and whatnot, so the money, gets back to the youth programs more directly.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any other questions on the city fee schedule? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to move page 225 forward.
So moved.
Second. Who is the motion? I'm sorry. Thank you, Councilwoman Friedman, motion seconded by President Strawn. All's in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Continuing under Parks and Rec, we'll move toward the golf fund at this time. And I'm going to move incrementally on this. I'm going to open pages 149 and 150 at this time. Any questions on pages 149 and 150?
I have a question.
Councilwoman Burns.
The Ely Park, which is in fabulous shape. I don't know if anyone listening golfs, but and the colors that we were up there, they're changing and it's gorgeous. And then everything is beautiful. My question is, will we be breaking even on our investment on that anytime soon?
The answer to that question is no. Okay, we're anticipating a loss in 2023 of between 95 and $100,000. Most of that loss is due to all the large purchases we had to make and pay off over the first 5 years of this project to get it so that it's in the condition that it is, meaning golf equipment, which was about $600,000 on 5 years, and that's gone away. I think at that point, we definitely become break even at worst case.
In the future, we will be breaking even. you
Yes.
think, Next year, not
Not in
this
20
budget, but the following budget.
I won't guarantee you 2024,
Mhm.
but 2023 and 2024 are going to be close from conversations that I've had with the people up there.
Mhm.
I believe they had like 25 or 27,000
Yeah.
players up there, which is enormous
Mm,
amount.
Right.
But right now, we're paying for new golf carts, new equipment, and some bonding associated with getting the building in shape, as well as next year. Getting the kitchen up and running, hopefully right off the bat, it's gonna help.
Mhm.
I think we haven't done that yet, right? It's getting finalized this week.
Yep, we're waiting on a new gas line that will be large enough to supply the heating system and the kitchen equipment.
Mhm.
It's our last big holdup with that.
Okay, thank you.
Although, Councilman, I would be the first one to say I'd love to see it break even or make money. Okay, I will say it's now an asset to the city compared to what it was 3 years ago.
Right, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Councilwoman Riley, please.
Thank you. So our revenue generating line, I will say, well, we own the pro shop and the food service, or we are responsible for that. So that is how we generate additional revenue outside of time.
No.
Oh,
So while we own the course, the pro shop and all the contents, we lease the operation to Indigo.
Okay,
The
But in-
same as the course operation.
but the pro shop, we are budgeting and we've increased the budget in anticipation of, again, having more items to sell and generate more revenue.
Yes.
Because same with food and beverage, as you mentioned, could not operate due to issues in COVID
Yes.
last we spoke. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Councilwoman, the other thing that's important to let you know that the restaurant was not in an operable condition. We had to put in all new equipment, clean it all up, get in new lines. And that took longer than anticipated this year, but it will be open come April 1st next year.
Yeah, that turned into a very simple, let's tear something down and start. And then we got to look at what was behind the walls and under the floors, and it turned into a very big project. Take my hat off to our parks team. They handled almost all the construction in-house themselves. Great cost savings for us through that.
And I would,
Thanks for sharing that because we didn't know. I think that's important
Yeah.
that we understand what happened.
I think it'd be nice for any of the council people that have not been up there. I know the two individuals over here have been up there, but the ladies, I would get with Pat and get a trip in.
Are you assuming the ladies don't come?
Well, I could, not assuming that at all. There's a lot of women that golf up there. Okay, but I can just tell by the.
There's a
questions you're
women's
asking.
league that golfs up there.
Yeah, they're right,
Yeah.
they're right night, they're the same night as our league.
Have you? But get a tour of the facilities and the things that we've done and what we plan on doing. And get an
They've done a
understanding.
great job. They really have. They really have.
Obviously, the more traffic and the more
Yeah.
word of mouth and the more people we get up there, the more quicker those spreads will, the gap will close.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion at this time to move pages 149, 150 forward.
Motion to move pages 149, 150.
Councilwoman Resident, any motion? Do I have a second? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by President Strong. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Passes unanimously. At this time, I'll open pages 151, 152, and 153. 151, 52, and 53. Any questions? Any questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to move pages 151 through 153 forward.
And move pages 151, 52, and 153.
Motion by Councilwoman Resonetti. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Friedman. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Passes unanimously. At this time, I will open pages 154 and 146 through 148. Keep in mind that 146 is a summary page. So again, that's pages 146 through 148 and 154. All right, after discussion with Corp Counsel, I'm going to pull that back. I'm just going to open pages 147, 148, and 154. I'm going to keep 146 separate only because it's a summary page of everything we've just discussed. So at this time, any discussions on 147, 148, or 154? Going twice, any questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve pages 147, 148, and 154 to move them forward.
Motion to move pages 147, 148, and 154.
Motion by Councilwoman Resonetti,
Second.
seconded by Councilwoman Friedman. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Passes unanimously. At this time, I'll open the summary page 146. Any questions?
Just to be clear, because you've approved the 3 pages that it summarizes and there were no changes, the summary doesn't change.
Thank you, sir. Seeing no questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve page 146. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Resonetti, seconded by Councilwoman Friedman. All those in support signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Hearing none, passes unanimously. Lastly, under Parks and Rec, I'll open the city fee schedule on page 230. Any questions on page 230? Any questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve page 230, city fee schedule for the golf course.
Motion to approve page 230.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Resonetti, seconded by Councilwoman Riley. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Passes unanimously. Pat, Shane, thank you very much.
I'd
Thank you.
also like to say thank you for the city employee pass rate. That's a great addition.
Yeah, they suggested it to us, and they said they've had great success at other courses with that, so hopefully,
Yeah,
take advantage.
I might become a new member.
Thank you all very much. At this time, we will move forward with legal and corp counsel.
Hmm.
Our presenter is our Corporation Counsel, Mr. Brian Seacrest. At this time, I will open pages 26 and 27.
26 and 27 are very simple. The only changes that are really have made has been an increase in the first assistant corporation counsel line, which was made in reaction to the approval of the assistant corporation code prosecutor. We believe that given the responsibilities of that position, they should be making something more than the code prosecutor was making at 80,000. So we proposed in the budget. This may be the only time you see it as a proposed increase in the actual budget rather than through the pool. That's the one change. Those are the two changes you'll see. Otherwise, essentially, this budget is unchanged from last year.
Any questions? Councilwoman Freeman.
Thank you, Councilman Scringy. I'm sure this has been explained to me before, so I'm sorry if this is a repeat question, but could you explain what the 0.5, like the positions that are listed as 0.5 and then funded? Like, for example, the first assistant corporation counsel is listed as 0.5 at 90,000.
The rest of that 0.5 is going to be on the risk management budget, which is going to be on pages 209 and 210.
Gotcha.
So that position is split between the two budgets. They
Okay,
do risk management and they do the law side.
gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for pages 26 and 27?
Motion to move pages
Wait.
26 and 7.
Yeah, Councilwoman.
Yes, thank you. So just to clarify, so for example, we have an assistant to corp counsel that's a 0.5. That's 60,000.
Yep.
They're co-funded, so that person also has an additional salary line that will total.
No, the total is at the end of those in italics, the total of what their salary is at the end.
Right.
But one of them is at that rate and then 50% is 75% at the other line.
So
Okay.
the employee makes, say $60,000, 50,000 of it's getting paid out of this
Out of
line.
that line. The total is in the one line, but not the
Yes.
combined of the two.
Yes, but it's
That's
split between the two budgets.
got it. Thank you.
So it's not, it doesn't total up to 120.
That's what I was looking
No.
at, based upon your explanation.
They would
Now, we've
all
done
hope
this
so, but
many
no, it doesn't.
times, but then today, wait a minute, this is new.
No, it
So
doesn't.
thank you.
No.
Thank you. I have a motion on the floor from Councilwoman Resonetti to move forward pages 26 and 27. Do I have a second? Second by President Strawn. All's in favor signify by saying aye.
Hi.
Any nays? Passes unanimously. At this time, I will open pages 207 through 211. 207 through 211.
Okay. This is the insurance fund, risk management, workers' comp, revenues and insurance summary. Chuck can speak more competently to the revenues and the insurance summaries because those are sort of financial accounting. But the risk management is just what it sounds like. It's risk management. The workers' compensation portion, which is 211, deals with an era when the city of Binghamton had its own workers' comp program, and these are sort of legacy claims that are continuing to go on and will go on for a while. There's also some ongoing workers' comp. So like we have a PPO that manages our workers' comp care. Those are covered under this budget as well. Are there any other questions?
Any questions on pages 208 through 211? I'm going to split this up again due to the summary page, just for procedural purposes. At this time, if there are no other questions, I'll entertain a motion to move pages 208 through 211.
To move pages 208 to 211.
Motion made by Councilwoman Rosanetti. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Burns. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Passes unanimously. I'll entertain a motion at this time to approve the summary page on page 207. Again, being mindful that the summary page is just an aggregate of everything we just approved.
Move summary page 207.
Motion by Councilwoman Rosanetti. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Freeman. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, Corp Counsel. Thank you, Brian.
You're welcome.
At this time, we will move to the mayor's portion of the budget. And our presenter is Deputy Mayor Megan Hyman. Good evening, Megan. At this time, I will open all of them. I'll open pages 15, 16, 46, 69, and 90. Logistically, we can start with 15 and 16. Megan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Councilman. Not too much different here from last year. The one thing I wanted to point out is on page 16, under youth programming. You'll notice what looks like a cut to the backpacks and youth outreach program. That's actually due to us budgeting $10,000 in the fiscal year 48 CDBG funds. So that total amount stays pretty much the same. Some of it's just coming out of less of it is coming out of the mayor's office budget now. Same thing for promotions and marketing. You'll notice what looks like a bigger increase there, but that's the result of us combining lines. What had been in community outreach, 5,000, we had moved down to promotions and marketing.
Any questions on, thank you. Councilwoman Freeman, please.
Thank you, Councilman Scringy. So my question is that I know that we've discussed this before, but I'm still having trouble understanding practically what the hours per day means for the employees. So can you explain why, like, the assistant to the mayor for youth and neighborhood affairs is budgeted at 8 hours per day and the mayor is only 7 hours a day?
Sure, I can take a shot at it.
Okay.
Because that change actually happened when I was in that position. And it predates COVID, if I recall correctly. With that position, there are a lot of nighttime neighborhood meetings. So as you know, like the North Side Neighborhood Assembly, each side of town, for the most part, has one of those neighborhood groups that will hold monthly meetings. So that's normally a longer day. And when I was in that role, it was bumped up to 8 hours, I think, to accommodate for what ends up being a longer day than just the 9 to 5 with a 1 hour lunch.
Right, that makes sense. And so is there a reason why the mayor is still at 7 hours? It seems like the mayor would also come to nighttime meetings as well.
I can tell you that he's there much longer than 7 hours. I don't know
Right.
why it's scheduled at that.
Let me answer that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I know it's not like
It's also,
you're.
we've
Right.
also dealt with this in the past with different positions over time that
Yeah.
have been at different segmented hours, 8, I think, as well.
An elected official too doesn't have to work any hours. They get paid whatever that salary is, okay? Just as
Yeah.
yourself.
Don't I know it?
So the default for all employees in the city of Binghamton is 7 hours. And while the mayor doesn't technically enjoy employee status, that is how he's categorized for the purposes of retirement. Absent somebody being a 7-hour employee, additional hours are set either by contract or by the charter, which is what Councilman Scringy was mentioning. The positions that you've seen that are carved out as 8 hours have been approved by city council and are set by charter. The mayor's position, however, could not be included in that because he would not be entitled to compensation as an 8-hour employee because the mayor's salary is also set by council as a 7-hour employee. So the very short answer to that is he defaults to employee status per the retirement system, which is 7 hours.
Okay, that makes sense. I knew that there was some reason why, because it just seemed strange to me that the mayor would be quote unquote working fewer hours than the assistant to the mayor. So thank you for explaining that.
Thank you, Sharon. Any other questions?
Oh,
President
Can I
Trump.
comment? I don't want to we don't have a deep discussion about this right now, but I think we should have a brief one. And I would say this if the gentleman to my right was the mayor. This salary, I mean, at some point, I think we have to have a conversation about the mayor's salary as a whole. And it's not a political statement. I mean, it's $97 million budget. And how many positions in this budget make a significant amount more than the chief executive of the city of Binghamton? I mean, to me, this is a statement about the city of Binghamton as a entity, a growing city, a flourishing, city that we're trying to attract
all kinds of development and I mean, a gazillion different things. I don't know what the forum for that discussion would be. If it's not right now. I don't know. I'm not saying that, I'm not even making a motion to change it right now, but I think we ought to at least have a brief discussion or see what I'd like to see what other people think about that statement. And like I said, this is, it could be perceived as political, but it's not, at least from my perspective. I mean, I'm just looking at the chief executive of a city with a $97 million budget, and 75,000 to me is ridiculously low.
President Strong, Councilman Burns.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, thank you. I agree with that 100%. It's ridiculous that the fire chief and the chief of police are getting paid, well, and they should be, but the mayor should be making as much as the head of departments, in my opinion. Thanks.
I know that in the past, the law department, and Mr. Frank specifically has recommended that that the council consider the mayor, setting the mayor's salary in the year before there's an election. So that when somebody agrees to run, they know what they're running for, and that would be the least political way of doing it, so that it's not for a particular individual or whoever wins the next election. That doesn't mean that you have to wait until that time, but but doing it every 4 years would be appropriate.
I think also, if memory serves me correctly, as it relates to all 8 elected official positions, that's a separate RL that comes down that we have to review and pass as well. So in terms of forum
correct.
for the discussion. But thank you. Anyone else? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept pages 15, 16, 46, 69, and 90.
Motion to move pages 15, 16, 46, 69, and 90.
Motion by Councilwoman Rezzanetti. Do we hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by President Strong. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Passes unanimously. Thank you, Megan, very much.
Councilman, I think there's just one more. Did we include 89 in that? It's the joint public library. It's on the second page.
It's on the second page.
It is on the second page. Thank you very much. My apologies.
Okay.
Open page, I'll move page 89 open at this time. Thank you, Megan. This is just the city portion of the library. Any questions on that? I'll entertain a motion to approve page
Councilman,
89.
Before you do that, I want
Sure.
to make a comment about this. Since I've been here, this library budget's going up about 4% a year. Okay, it's not going to be shortly before we're probably close to $1 million having to pay for that. And what are we getting for it? I mean, we have no say in the library itself. And I'm not saying that you can do anything about it, but I think at some point, city council and the mayor should talk to the county to figure out what's the right way to do this. Okay, I could tell you that.
At some point, our share of funding the library will exceed the county's share of funding the library. What keeps continuing to grow.
I'm sorry, Councilwoman.
Who comes
I'm
up with
just-
that number?
Yeah, this
There is a contract from
Yeah,
way back that needs
there's
to be
a, yeah,
negotiated.
this
I think it was
is,
negotiated during the Bucci era. so
Yeah,
That
I
tells you
mean-
how old it is.
this goes, I think, 30 years ago, like 20 years ago,
I
20
wanna
years ago.
I want to say it was like 2002, 2003. maybe
Oh,
four.
okay.
But it did come to this council and we approved
Yeah,
it
yeah.
recently.
Yeah.
So that was the time we should have started discussions if
We haven't
we
approved it
just
lately.
saw
I think that
something.
it wasn't just approved, it was approved back in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And it was,
What
had an escalator clause where 3%, our contribution would increase by a certain percentage, which was very small at the time. No one would anticipate that it would stay in place for 20 years until our proportion keeps going and going and going.
Not just discuss the library and our partnership in some legislation recently. And maybe I'm making things up, but I thought, but now that it's come to the forefront, then that's something we can discuss. But to say, what do we get from it? I think we have to be careful about how we present things, particularly in a budget meeting. That's all. Thank you.
Councilman Burns.
Yeah, thank you. Does the county's share go up the same way? I mean, how is it that we're gonna eventually be ahead of them? We're gonna be paying more. How does that?
Let me answer that. Back in the pandemic, okay, people weren't getting paid, okay, but we still were liable to make payments. Okay, there weren't people at the library, wasn't open, okay? Those people were doing other things. Okay, as an example. Okay, what goes on over there day to day, I can't speak for that. But since I've been here, I see it going up 4%, and it's only, I think it's tied to CPI, so it's even gonna go up higher than that in the future.
But how is it that the county isn't going up at the same rate?
Because they're paying all the bills. So if the bills don't go up more than our share, then.
The annual increases of our share.
Yes.
Yeah. So you could hypothetically end up in a situation where on a per annum basis, if our share increasing at a percentage every given year, if that change exceeds the bills in the aggregate, we could actually be paying more than the county. I think
Okay.
that's what Chuck is
Okay.
trying to say. And Brian.
I just think it's something that as a city, we should look at and say, is this the right way to?
And there are rules about how far you can bind a city council going forward on a contract for this type of thing. So it's something that needs to be reviewed. Chuck just wanted to make it a highlight that's
Yeah.
something that we should consider.
No, that's fine. Absolutely. I appreciate that. Anything else? Seeing none, motion to approve page 89.
Should approve page 89.
Motion by Councilwoman Resonetti. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Freeman. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? That passes. Megan, thank you very,
Thank
very
you,
much.
Councilman.
We have 8 minutes to spare. Agenda is completed. Anything else? Colleagues? Motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
Councilwoman Resonetti, motion, second.
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Riley. We are adjourned.